Hello everyone, Donnie Wanders here, and today I am harvesting, preparing, and drinking Labrador tea. And Labrador tea is a plant. It's like a little shrub. It looks very much like all the shrubs that are behind me here. And it's called Labrador tea because you can make tea out of it. So that's what I'm going to do today. Whenever you're foraging for food, it's really important to be able to very clearly identify the food so that you don't eat something that is poisonous or just gross. Mushrooms often spring to mind. Like, people are very, very cautious about mushrooms because some of them can kill you if you eat the wrong one. With little herby plants like this, I don't think it's as big a deal if you do get the wrong one. But I don't forage very much at all, other than the odd wild strawberry, blueberries, blackberries, things like that I know for sure what they are. I wouldn't call myself a forager, but I do know exactly what Labrador tea is, so that's what I'm going to show you today. In this area behind me, and even over where I just turned from, this whole field, it all kind of looks the same, like all the plants. So I'm going to get up close and personal with some of these plants and show you which ones are Labrador tea and which ones are not. Well, here's a nice patch of Labrador tea. In the springtime, it's relatively easy. It's easier to identify them because they have little white flowers on them. At this time of year, though, the leaves are sort of splayed out off the stem in all directions, and they're kind of almost like horizontal to the ground, whereas the plants that they tend to grow amongst, like these plants here, the leaves, while they do look very similar, they are kind of like pointing up. And then, so this plant right here, that is not Labrador tea, but this one right next door is. The difference between these two plants, I'll pick one leaf off here. So this one has a green top and a green bottom. With Labrador tea, I'll choose one here. You have this green top, and the leaves right now are kind of curled in on themselves, and it's usually a brown bottom. The texture of these is, it's not super smooth, and in fact the brown part that I'm rubbing feels almost like furry. And then like these ones, it sort of feels like almost like a plasticky, sort of very, very smooth feeling. So that's a difference between these two plants. These ones, this example that I've got here, these are only about maybe 6 to 8 inches high, but they can get quite tall. But they do tend to be at around the same height as all the other plants that they share space with. An easy way to identify, a couple of easy ways. One is that these leaves, again, they feel fuzzy on the bottom, and they're sort of that brown color. Whereas these ones all feel very smooth, and they are not brown on the bottom. There's no fuzz there at all. So this one, it's not quite as brown as the other one that I showed you. It's almost white, more of a white color, but definitely has that sort of a brown middle, and it's really, really fuzzy. So I'm going to pick a few of these leaves and make some tea. Really important about picking the leaves from Labrador tea is you don't want to over harvest any one plant, because it does damage each individual plant. So I'm going to choose one leaf from here, one from here, one from here. I'm going to grab, let's see, one from here, and I might just gather a few more. There's another little plant here. We'll take one here. Ooh, and this one is nice and green, nice and healthy. We'll take a couple from these stalks. So I'm just like selectively choosing a few leaves from from each stalk. I don't want to take too many from each plant because I don't want to actually like kill the plant. I just want a little tasty treat. I've selected this not very flat rock to make my tea on. I saw it in the distance and I was like, oh, that'll work as like a kind of a table, but it's actually not very flat at all. However, I did find a flat spot to set my stove on, so I'm going to do that now. And this is a very cheap, very simple, very small camp stove that just screws together. So there's two parts here. I've got this part is the regulator, so when I turn it on, this knob controls how fast the gas comes out, and it screws on to this part of the stove where the flames will actually come out. But that regulator part just screws onto a standard gas canister. So that's ready to go. And once you get your stove ready, I've got a standard El Cheapo camping pot that I'm going to put my Labrador tea in, and I just jammed my tea leaves in my pocket. So I'll fish those out, blow out any, there's a couple of elastics there as well. I don't need to make elastic tea today. So there's some of the, I thought I had more. Where did they all go? Some of the tea leaves anyway. Oh, they're in my other pocket where I just put the elastic bands that I fished out of the first pocket. Okay, so there's my tea leaves. I've got like maybe 7 or 8 of them there, not very many. Pop them in the pot and then take some water, and this water is from home. It's not like water that I found in one of the pools here, and so I didn't have to treat it or anything. And I'm just putting in a tiny bit of water. So you put in like just enough to kind of cover the bottom of the pot, and we will bring that to a boil once I get the stove lit. There we go. This pot is cool. It's actually 2 pots in one. This pot is holds 800 mils, and this one I'm not sure, maybe about between 200 and 400, but this doubles as the lid. So I'll put that on there. Put the lighter in my pocket so I don't lose it. And then once that boils, we will let it boil for like maybe a minute. And then I'm going to dump that water off, take the leaves out, and the leaves, after they have boiled once, is what I'm going to use to make my cup of tea. So that's boiling already. I just want to like mix them around a little bit. So the reason that I boil a little bit of water, like take the first part, or like pre-boil the tea, do a pre-brew, is because I learned how to make Labrador tea from an Innu woman in northern Quebec. And that's how she did it. I don't know why we boil it once and get rid of that first little bit of water and then use the tea leaves after they've been boiled once. It could just be like to wash them, to purify them. I don't really know why. There are certainly different methods of making Labrador tea that I've read about online. But since I had this Innu woman's Labrador tea and it was quite delicious, I'm sticking with her method. Okay, so that has boiled for about 2 minutes. And the water, you're not really going to be able to see it, but the water has turned sort of a greenish brown, very similar to the color of the leaves. And I'm just going to dump that off carefully without burning myself and without losing the tea leaves. Actually, I think I'm going to dump it off here on the rock so that if any of those leaves do spill out, I can just pick them up off the rock. A little bit of rock dirt isn't going to hurt. Okay, a little bit more water here. And I did not spill my leaves. So now that I've got just the leaves, I'm going to make enough for a cup of tea. So I'll pour fresh water in there. My pot is marked on the inside. So that's about 200 mils, which is all that my cup is really going to hold. Grab my lighter. And then I'm just going to bring that to just to a boil, or I'm going to try and catch it before it boils and then let it steep for about like 5 minutes, and then it'll be ready to drink. Okay, there's a few bubbles. And we are just boiling, so I'm going to turn that off. And just let that steep for like 5 minutes. Okay, my tea has steeped for about 5 minutes and it has turned like a slightly green brown color. I'm going to pour it in my mug. And I'm putting leaves and all in there. There's one leaf. There's one leaf left in the pot, so I'll get rid of that. And I'm gonna pop my lid on. It smells so good. It kind of smells like the forest. I'll continue to let it cool because I know it's very hot, but I think I will pack up my stove and all that stuff and start heading back out. Oh, that's good. Do you drink Labrador tea when you're out wandering in the woods like I do? And if so, what's your method? I'd love to know. I'd also like to know what else you like to pick and eat while you're in the woods or harvest and bring home with you. Anything easy. I mentioned earlier blueberries, blackberries, that sort of thing. But what else? What am I missing that I should be getting a free snack on when I'm out in the woods? Let me know in the comments. But I'm going to wrap it up here, finish up my cup of Labrador tea, and head on out of here. Thank you for watching, and Donnie Wanders. We'll see you in the next one.